You're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and someone you loved is gone. Not traveling, not away, gone. And a voice in the back of your mind whispers, "What if they're not?" That whisper built an empire, not a church, not a cult, a system. One man in Paris decided he could test that whisper the way you test a bridge. With weight, with pressure, with questions that demand answers. His name was Allan Kardec. And what he built still shapes the lives of millions of people right now, today, in hospitals, bookstores, and living rooms across Brazil. But here's the part nobody talks about. Kardec didn't just believe spirits could talk. He tried to prove it. He sent structured questions to dozens of mediums in different cities, none of them in contact with each other. He compared their answers. He threw out the ones that didn't match. He kept only the replies that showed up again and again, from different people, in different rooms, with no way to cheat. That sounds less like a séance and more like a science experiment. And that tension, right there, between the spiritual and the method, is what makes Spiritism one of the strangest and most misunderstood belief systems on Earth. So if reincarnation sounds like something from the East, and mediums sound like something from a horror film, stay with me. Because what Kardec actually built doesn't look like either. Let's go back to Paris. The year is 1854. A retired schoolteacher named Hippolyte Rivel is sitting in a dim room watching a table move. This was a craze at the time. Séances were parlor entertainment across Europe. Tables tipped. Candles flickered. People gasped. Most of it was theater. But Rivel didn't gasp. He pulled out a notebook. He was a trained educator. He'd written textbooks on math and grammar. He didn't want drama. He wanted data. Over the next few years, he contacted mediums spread across more than a dozen French cities. He gave them the same questions, not vague, open-ended prompts, structured queries. Things like, do spirits remember their past lives? What determines a spirit's moral rank? He collected over 1,000 replies. Then he did something that set him apart from every other spiritualist of his era. He filtered. Hard. He filtered. Hard. If a reply showed up from only one medium, he threw it out. If 2 mediums gave clashing answers, he flagged it. He kept only the messages that at least 3 separate mediums working alone confirmed. Roughly 900 passed his test. The rest went in the trash. He published the results under a pen name, Allan Kardec. And the book he released in 1857 became the foundation of everything that followed. It contained over 1,000 questions and their spirit-sourced answers, organized like an encyclopedia of the afterlife. Now you might be thinking, that's clever, but it's not really science. And you'd have a point. But hold that thought, because the objection matters, and we'll come back to it. First, let's look at what those filtered messages actually claimed. Because the world Kardec mapped out isn't what most people expect. Strip away the candles and the round tables, and what you get is a system built on 3 pillars. The first pillar, spirits survive death, not as ghosts haunting attics, as conscious beings with memory, personality, and moral awareness. Kardec described them wearing what he called a paraspirit, a kind of subtle envelope connecting the spirit to the physical world. Think of it like this. Your body is a coat. The paraspirit is the shirt underneath. When you take off the coat, you're still dressed. You're still you. The second pillar, spirits evolve. They aren't frozen at the level they died at. They grow. They learn. And the way they learn is through the third pillar, reincarnation. But not the kind you might picture, not a wheel spinning randomly, dropping you into a new body like a cosmic lottery. Kardec described reincarnation as a classroom. Each life is a lesson. You come back to work on something specific: compassion, patience, forgiveness. The things you failed at last time become the curriculum this time. He even organized spirits into a hierarchy. Several major classes, each broken into subtypes. At the bottom, spirits still ruled by selfishness and impulse. At the top, spirits so advanced they'd moved beyond material needs entirely. And connecting all of this, a set of moral laws, free will, cause and effect, social duty. These weren't commandments handed down from above. They were patterns Kardec said the spirits themselves described over and over, through different mediums, in different cities. So here's the question this raises. If you're going to claim that dead people are sending you a moral rule book through dozens of independent channels, how do you prove any of it? Kardec's answer was his method. And this is where things get genuinely interesting, because his approach was more careful than most people assume. He laid out hundreds of guidelines for how to conduct a séance properly. Not mood lighting and dramatic music. Rules. A medium had to answer blind questions, questions where they didn't know what was being asked. Their replies were compared with those of other mediums who had no knowledge of the first session. If the messages didn't match across multiple sittings, they were rejected. A Brazilian research center went back through the records. Out of every 5 messages, only 1 could be confirmed. They kept going anyway. Another third were partially confirmed. The rest couldn't be checked either way. That's a mixed record, but it's a record. Most belief systems don't even try to measure their own accuracy. But here's the catch, and this is where we have to be honest about the limits. Critics point out that Kardec's controls, while impressive for the 1850s, wouldn't hold up in a modern lab. There was no way to fully rule out cold reading, the technique where a medium picks up on subtle cues from the person asking questions. There was no way to eliminate the chance that mediums in the same social circles shared information, even without meaning to. Recently discovered letters from the south of France suggest that some mediums in Kardec's early network may have exchanged notes. Not fraud necessarily, but not independence either. And the consistency test itself has a blind spot. If you only keep answers that agree, you might be filtering out the truth when it's strange, and keeping comfortable lies when they're common. Agreement isn't the same as accuracy. This doesn't destroy Spiritism, but it does mean its claim to be scientific has an asterisk. And that asterisk matters. So why did it survive? Why didn't it fade like table tipping and séance parlors? The answer is Brazil. Spiritism arrived in Brazil in the late 1800s, and something remarkable happened. It didn't just survive. It transformed. It became part of the culture, not in a fringe way, in a deep, structural way. Spiritist ideas wove themselves into publishing, cinema, education, and even healthcare. By the 2010s, thousands of registered Spiritist centers were operating across the country. Tens of millions of Spiritist books had been sold. And in hospitals across Brazil, a practice they call energy healing, or fluidotherapy, was being offered to patients. It involves prayer, laying on of hands, and what practitioners describe as the channeling of spiritual energy. One clinical audit reported that patients who received it showed noticeably less anxiety after surgery. Now, mainstream medicine has real problems with this. There's no accepted mechanism. The studies are small, the controls are weak, but the patients keep coming. And the results, even if they can't be explained, keep showing up. This is where Spiritism gets strange in a way that doesn't fit easy categories. It's not pure religion. It has no priests, no rituals of worship, no sacraments. It's not pure science. Its methods can't be copied under strict lab conditions. It's not pure philosophy. It makes specific, testable claims about the afterlife. It sits in the overlap of all three, and that's exactly why it makes some people uncomfortable and other people devoted. Here's something most people get wrong about spirits in this system. They assume every spirit is a guide, a helper, a wise voice from beyond. Kardec said otherwise. He warned that a meaningful share of spirit messages were deceptive. Spirits could lie. They could manipulate. They could pretend to be someone they weren't. The system has its own built-in warning label, and that warning connects to something deeper. The whole point of the hierarchy, the moral laws, is that spirits aren't finished. They're works in progress, just like us. A spirit at the bottom of the scale might be selfish, confused, even hostile. A spirit at the top might radiate pure compassion. Most are somewhere in between, fumbling through their own version of growth. That reframes the entire project. Spiritism isn't saying the afterlife is paradise. It's saying the afterlife is school. And some students cheat. There's one more layer worth examining. Recent historical work has complicated the story of Kardec himself. New archives from Lyon suggest that a team of assistants helped annotate his early drafts. The image of a lone scholar compiling spirit wisdom may be partly a myth. This doesn't undo his work, but it changes how we think about authorship and authority in the tradition. Meanwhile, the movement keeps growing in unexpected places. Researchers have identified emerging Spiritist communities in Nigeria and South Korea. The system that started in a French parlor is adapting to cultures Kardec never imagined. If this changed how you think about what happens after death, or even just made you question a belief you took for granted, there's a lot more on this channel that goes just as deep. Drop a comment and tell me which part surprised you the most. Tell me which part broke something you believed. You started this wondering what it would mean to talk to someone who's gone. Kardec spent his whole life building a system to answer that question. 14 years, 5 books, 900 filtered messages. And in the end, the answer wasn't comfort. It was homework. The dead, he said, aren't resting. They're studying for the next exam. And so are you.